Hello, and welcome to this episode of Pardon the Integration, Solve Cash Flow Confusion with Ingram Micro, a podcast where we explore top trends in the channel today. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso from the Channel Company. Managed service providers are expected to see a 26% increase in revenue growth this year, according to iPad Consulting, while verified market research noted that the managed security services market is expected to be valued at more than $65 billion by 2026. Now is the right time to transition from a break-fix service into an MSP. How do you do this? The answer? Cash flow. That's according to my guest today, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Executive for U.S. and Latin America at Ingram Micro, Anthony Mackel. The way the podcast works, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, is we discuss 3 topics with 3 minutes to talk about each. So let's get started with topic 1, a better financial outcome as an MSP. Anthony, thanks so much for being here and welcome to the program. First question today, what have you seen in terms of growth in your MSP partners over the last year, and what's been driving this?
In 2015, I started in the US, and we did a study to see how many of our partners really were managed service providers. We took a hard look to give you an example, what were their services? Were they warranty or were they through services like knock, sock? And what we found out was it was sub 5% across our entire partners. Now we're looking at 15 to 20%. So a significant increase. Think about it, from 2015 to 2021, going from 5 to 20%. Now it's common for our partners to really be service providers.
5 to 20% in that amount of time is nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty incredible. So Anthony, moving on to number 2, when it comes to cash flow, how does the old model of a break fix compare to the new model of managed services and recurring revenue?
If you think about it, break fix was really, you come in, solve a problem, get paid for it, move on to the next one. When you think about services, and particularly managed services, they've gone from you get paid in 30, 45, 60 days to now you're getting paid over a 36-month time period. We did a study, and if you take a look at it on a 36-month payment, your break even on a cash flow is 123. So now you're out of pocket 23 months out of 36 months.
That's incredible. And last question in this segment, Anthony, how is Ingram Micro supporting partners in growing their managed services businesses?
We have 2 very, very, very strong communities within Ingram Micro. One is the SMB Alliance and then TrustX. Both of these communities have become an absolutely, invaluable resource to partners, because again, if you want to learn, they will teach you what's happening in the market, how you need to address cash flow issues. And then another thing that I'm going to hit on many, many times, because it is unique to Ingram Micro, which is managed service contract financing, which is the ability for you to get paid upfront for all the services you have yet to perform. And we do not have a contract with the end user. It's between you and us.
Let's move on to topic 2, financing your MSP business. Question 1, Anthony, Ingram Micro reported channel partners who used Ingram Micro financing throughout the first 18 months of the pandemic grew their revenues faster than those who didn't. What's the reason behind that?
What we saw was most of our partners were trying to preserve cash flow. They started delaying non-service and essential purchases, and I'm talking about the end user. Our partners had to do something creative to really push the end user to start a project. And probably the number one thing on that was financing. By helping the end user finance and preserve their cash flow, our partners were able to preserve their cash flow. So it was a domino effect that came back. So what we saw, and I'll give you an example. We did again a study in Q2, Q3 of last year, and we saw the partners who use finance grew their business 11% year over year. Now, this was in a market where just about all of our partners were declining revenue. Significant increase.
That's for sure. Anthony, question 2 in the same segment, with so much emphasis on business valuation and so much merger and acquisition activity in the channel today, What do partners need to know when it comes to financing and what Ingram Micro offers in this space?
Traditional partners who are in the business of selling hardware, software, getting paid on terms, what we do is we see a valuation, 3-5 times EBITDA. If you are in a MRR or in a services business, you can see 7 plus. I mean, we've seen upwards 10 plus. So again, the valuation of a business that truly is a service provider. Why? Because the revenue is predictable over time. If you think about it, I just mentioned 36-month payment term. Well, if you're in month 2, month 3, you've got 30 plus more payments still to come. So it's the predictability of revenue. It's the predictability of cash flow. One of the things that I would bring up is the pivot. So unfortunately, businesses trying to go from traditional hardware, software sales to MRR, you've now got to invest. You've got to hire the headcount. You've got to invest in the technology. You've got to buy the software. And even if it's SaaS, you've got to pay for it. You're going to get paid over 36 months. The more successful you are, the tougher it is going to be in cash flow, because now it's more and more cash outlay. So what we've done is we've stepped forward to help finance that for you.
And that's got to be a huge help in the beginning, especially as they're starting out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to number 3 in this segment. From the end user's point of view, what impact does financing have on the decision-making process?
Oh, I love this question. Partners are not only solving their own cash flow, but they're solving the end user's financial needs as well. If you think about it, we've talked consumption, we've talked DaaS, we've talked HaaS. There are so many, but each and every one of those is a different financing need. Whether you wanted CapEx, whether you wanted OpEx, but again, it's a huge increase in creative financing is what we've seen out there, and just the needs of the end user and our partners. So again, we're trying to solve for both.
And that brings us into our final topic 3 of forward-focused financial approach. Question 1, Anthony, where in the sales cycle does financing belong?
Great question. And an easy answer, as early as possible. Again, what it does is it shows you actually care about the end user's needs as well as your own. If you can bring them, it gives a competitive advantage. Why? And I'm going to use the example of one of our partners. One of our partners said, I want to grow my business 100% year over year. $50 million business, wanted to grow to $100 million business. We gave him several financing options. And he taught his sales team, and we actually came in and helped in this, to go sell financing. What he said, and it was critical, a great answer, was he said, I don't always win with financing, but I win because I'm creative enough to bring in solutions. So it's a competitive advantage over everybody else because I'm coming in with suggestions.
Very important, Anthony. And going actually from that thought into this next question, how else does Ingram Micro help solve partner cash flow problems as businesses recover from the impacts of the pandemic?
Well, we have an extensive line card of financing options, but what I would say even better than that is we're very, very creative. Let me give you an example. We have a partner who keeps quoting or keeps telling everybody this story. We were at an event and he asked me about, he came up with a need, and on the back of a napkin, we created a financing option. And he still walks around with that story about, I have a financing option from Anthony on the back of a napkin. So it is again, we've used a term, or we've used a slogan a bunch of years ago, and we said, the only deal we haven't financed is one we don't know about. Bring us your problem, let us get creative and come back with a solution.
Anthony, last question in this interview today. Where can partners go to learn more about Ingram Micro's financial solutions and get started?
Well, we have a bunch of different options here. So you can go to the Imagine Next site, where you will find podcasts, you'll find videos. Go to financial solutions at ingrammicro.com. You'll find a bunch of solutions there, or simply call your credit development analyst and they'll point you in the right direction.
Anthony, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today. Before we go, I'd like to list my 3 top takeaways from today's discussion. 1. Managed service providers can make more predictable revenue than break-fix providers. 2. Ingram Micro can help partners navigate the transition to becoming an MSP with upfront financing, education, and community engagement. And 3. Introduce financing as early as possible in the sales cycle to address end user needs and hold a competitive advantage. That's going to conclude this episode of Pardon the Integration, Solve Cash Flow Confusion with Ingram Micro. Thanks so much for watching or listening to the podcast today. I'm Katie Bavoso. I'll see you next time.